Hi, I'm Macy Buhler. I've been in the field of early childhood for over 30 years here in southern Wisconsin. I'm currently a child care owner in DeForest, Wisconsin. And since COVID, I've become a really strong advocate for early childhood educators as well as for the families of young children. As a lifelong Wisconsinite, I am worried for our state's future if we don't support them. On 6/24, Assembly Speaker Voss spoke, I believe it was PBS, on following Minnesota's lead in childcare. Minnesota in 2023 passed a bill to help address wage support, aiming to bring down family spending to a reduction of about 7% on their childcare costs. $250 a year in tax credits is not going to reduce that for our families. Minnesota also has different ratios, and I believe that's what Voss was talking about. But in fact, overall, I looked at those ratios and I balanced them to what I have in my center. I would actually lose students in my center. I would not be able to have the same students, just due to numbers and staffing. I will address also what Deb said about staffing. We are building some beautiful centers around the state. I am so happy for a lot of communities that are doing that. I am going to be losing staff to those centers. So we're just shuffling the issue around to these beautiful places. We do not have the staffing. They're not in their early childhood programs at Madison College or other technical schools. They're not there. And in fact, last year, DCF made it even harder for me to introduce new staff into this field. So we are absolutely struggling and very concerned for this fall. I am similar to Deb that I will lose a lot of college and high school students this fall, and then some to a beautiful new center in Sauk. I'm not sure what parents and how I'm going to decide that won't be able to attend, but that might be a reality if I can't hire somebody this summer. We're also seeing in the district that I live in and I'm part of a drop in enrollment in our 4K and our kindergartners. We're seeing a drop in birth rates. And if you know DeForest, Wisconsin, we are such a highly growing community that it's shocking to me and to the district. I didn't build my center thinking that the birth rates and the number of kids would reduce in my area, but they are. And I live in an area, I was the first business in my area, and we have increased housing, I would say 200%, just around walking distance to my center. I'm hearing parents in my area leaving their careers because they cannot afford to pay for childcare and work. That is what's happening and what will continue to happen, or will have a reduce in birth rates. And that has to stop. Wisconsin cannot sustain that way. And in truth, when Voss talks about increasing, and the GOP increasing ratios, that means putting more kids in the hands of a teacher. We're going to increase burnout. We're going to see even less teachers in the field. If we continue with this, we need more kids in those rooms. That's not the answer. Telling somebody you should do more work for less pay when our field in early childhood is below the median is ridiculous. It's insultive. We are women. We do not need to succumb to poverty to serve our nation, to serve our state. It is not okay. And women are leaving. They can go. I have a quick trip distribution center being built less than a mile from my center. They can go there and earn a lot more than what I can suffice and what I can provide them, even with my higher rates. My parents know that if we could get funding, the $480 million, that they would actually see a reduction in their tuition. But without it, they know their tuition will go up, and we will see what families I lose. Nobody has absolutely come up to me and said, we'll walk, but it will happen. It will be a sacrifice for these families that they cannot afford. So I am asking, just as well as every other early childhood owner and educator I know, to help sustain the field. This is not a handout to businesses. This is not a handout to teachers. This is an economic issue. This is our future in Wisconsin, and it has to be seen in that way, not a social handout or whatever. It is an economic issue.